Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I like this episode. I liked it a lot. And it was giving me a lot of Bob Guza vibes. Okay? I remember I sat there in one of my live streams. I was like, I kind of wish some of it would, some of the stuff would return back to the Bob Guza days. And they bring it today. They bring it today. Now, at first, I couldn't understand. Okay, so Curtis was the one that got shot. And a lot of people did call it. And at first, I sat there and I was like, but Curtis, like, if it was either Anna, because at this point, we don't know if it's Anna's that's the target or if it's Sonny that's the target. But I sat there, I was like, so how did Curtis get shot? Like, was a shooter some sort of stormtrooper or something? I don't understand. Like, how did that happen? But then Sonny was like, it was probably a ricochet. And those things can be quite deadly. So Curtis got shot, right? Curtis is lying on the floor. The shooter is still out there. Porsche decides to run out there to try to stop the bleeding. Now, I'm not okay, so I understand her first impulse is sit there and try to help Curtis, but I'm like, why don't you just drag him to a spot where you're not exposed like that? Because eventually Chase does wind up getting Liz and Finn to come over there and help. But they're still exposed. So it's one of those things where it's like I didn't understand that planning. Like they couldn't bother to like I get it. Curtis is a big dude, so I'm not sitting there saying like maybe Portia could have easily done it, but I felt like it could have been a better way. Isn't it? They're trying to take care of him. Sonny eventually is like, you know what? Listen, I'm just gonna end this whole thing. You want me? Here I am. And he just stands out in the clear. Meanwhile, Anna's like, yo, that's crazy. But he does sit there and say that, the faster that we see if the shooter's there or not, because he felt like the shooter wasn't there. And the faster that Curtis could sit there and get help. So eventually the paramedics came in there, took Curtis to the hospital. Um, Dex wound up getting a call while he's out with Jocelyn and Trina. Jocelyn's not there. Jocelyn is being understanding towards Spencer, which is a lot more patient than I am. But she does understand that maybe that Spencer is kind of intimidated by him. And just the simple fact that most likely all that anger is towards Jocelyn because of the way that Jocelyn handled the whole camp thing, which I'm glad that she did acknowledge. I mean, granted, she acknowledged that before, but I'm glad she did acknowledge that as far as um, some of the reason that Spencer Smith did going so hard. Now, granted, that does not excuse Spencer's actions because I mean it just doesn't. But it does give some sort of reason why he's going at this level. Anyway, they get Dex tells them that Kurt has been shot. Trina comes to the hospital, and I said this. I'm pretty sure I might have said this in my review, but I know I said this in my live stream. Was that eventually she was going to start to soften up. And remember before she was like, "Oh, what did she say? I don't need a replacement. Um, Taggart is my forever dad." And now she's going from that to how's my dad doing? So I knew that this is going to be, Curtis getting shot. Like this is going to push her past her anger that she has for him. Also, just the simple fact that even before the whole Porsche thing, yeah, they were they were getting close, but it wasn't like insta dad overnight. Now because because he got shot, that moved up the timetable, which I knew that was going to end up happening. Um, Spencer and Esme wound up taking the parenting class, and in the beginning, they was there fighting left and right, even before the class got started. But then afterwards, they came to understand that they're both trying to do right by Ace, and they're both doing a good job, so they do acknowledge each other's um work that they put in as far as helping baby Ace out. It does get to a point though because eventually Josh does go to get Spencer to try to have Spencer be there for Trina, and she is at the parenting class, and she looks at both of them, and she sees Esme touches Spencer's shoulder, and the look on her face. Listen, I'm surprised that she had enough restraint not to just run over there and be like, "What the f is going on?" Because like that look, that was a Carly look. Okay, let me tell you right now, that was a classic Carly look. I really didn't understand why Brooklyn was there. I really didn't. I mean, all she was there, she was just not really doing too much of anything. She went up to Chase, she said a couple of things. She went up to Anna and Sunny, she said a couple of things. And then she left, and I was just like, really didn't need to be here. I mean, I understand that she was in the episode before, but it was just like, well, you can just go. Like, they're good. Um, so I find that interesting. Let me know in the comment section um, who you think was the intended target. I feel like Sunny is so much the obvious choice, and even I'm feeling like, yeah, they most likely went after Sunny. But I feel like it's probably the least choice that you would expect. Because you guys have to remember, somebody did write murderer on Anna's door. They were standing next to each other the entire time. So it could be either one of them. So back at Savoy, yeah, listen, Molly is usually very level headed, very smart. You understand that she took what Christina was not there saying as far as, her being a surrogate, as her trying to make it out to be all about herself. And I'm just like, what? Like, even, I know TJ was trying really hard, but I know even TJ was just kind of looking at her like, because she was all like, oh, I want to sit there and kill her, this, that, and the third. And, she's trying to make it about herself, make it, be the center of attention. And I'm just like, where is this part coming from? I understand that Christina has done some really stupid, acidine, dumbass things in the past. But really? Now, I'll sit there and say this. As far as, because Christina explained to Alexis and Sam why she's doing what she's doing, right? Was it impulsive? Yes. Is this something that Christina would normally do? Yes. But to be fair, this was done out of love. Um, how her there being so anxious about doing this was because the fact that she doesn't, she felt like maybe Molly doesn't really have a lot of time. Um, when she actually did want to, find out she wanted to get pregnant, it was already kind of too late. And she also thought about her situation as far as like, yo, listen, I'm good now. I know I'm going to sit there and be in about 2 years. So I'd rather sit there and do this now. So I understood where Christina was coming from. But they did sit there and explain to her all the reasons why she shouldn't do it just right now. Like, why she shouldn't just be like, yo, don't go up to them and start snipping on this plan because, well, I'm glad you're sitting down because we got to sit there and tell you all the reasons why. Eventually, TJ did sit there and kind of like leveled it out for her. And she seemed like she was a little more receptive, at the possibility of, having Christina be a surrogate. I still have to go back to the fact that she was like, oh, she's going to throw it in the face like, oh, I can have a child and you can't. I'm like, what? Like, none of that made any sense. None of that made any sense. I'm sorry, but I felt like she really did overreact with that situation. I just want to stress that back out one more time before we continue this review. Now, Dante and Chase do want to go into one of the rooms where the shooter was at, and Dante found the gun, which I'm sitting there thinking, man, that was kind of sloppy. I mean, granted, yeah, he did sit there and say most likely we're not going to sit there and be able to get a hit off of it, the prints and everything like that, the casings, we're not going to find anything. But I'm still surprised that he didn't just take the gun with him. Like, I don't get that part. I really don't. I felt like he had more than enough time to sit there and leave without just leaving a gun there. So I don't really understand that. Also, there's a good possibility that Curtis may be paralyzed because of where the bullet actually lodged was like near his spine. So we are probably going to wind up having that story. Liz and Finn, well, Liz was pretty much shaken up. Um, So Finn was there to sit there and comfort her, which we all know where that's going to go. We all know down the line where that's going to go. Apparently, a lot of people don't like Liz and Finn. I always find it very funny because that's the thing. For me personally, it's like I don't really like care about the couplings and stuff like that, but I always find it very funny, just like how much people do not like Finn and Liz together. Um, and the ones that do, I find really interesting. Just the same thing with Sunny and Nina. There's a majority of people that do not like those two together. But maybe when you go on Cindy Watchow's page on Instagram, you find a bunch of people like, "Oh, love them together. They're so great." And I'm just like, "Oh, that's where you guys are hiding at." Smart. You're on her page. Okay, cool. The whole time I'm sitting there looking at Jordan being under the desk and everything like that. I'm just like, I forgot that she's actually like interning or whatever as like deputy mayor or whatever. Because I'm just like, okay, so Jordan, you gonna pull out your gun now, right? Oh, okay, I guess you just gonna like hide under the desk. I guess that's cool too. And I totally forgot until towards the end when she was telling Zeke that she got to sit there and do a press conference to kind of like reassure people that the town is safe and yada yada yada. And I was like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Well, I guess whenever Jeannie Francis come back from her vacation, Jordan could sit there and be a commissioner again. I feel like that's about it. I can't think of too many other things that wound up happening in this episode. Anyway, as I always sit there and say, if I do forget anything, come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, GH, Days of Our Lives, B&B, and Y&R. So with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.